This is a story staged for entertainment, but it contains practical lessons. Some details have been altered to protect privacy, but the message remains the same. Through the cabin window, I saw my daughter's face. My name is Graham, and I am 67 years old. The air was salty, cedar wood smelled of it, and the generator hummed. I should have asked how they paid for this gift. I didn't. So this is my vow. I will survive, and I will tell the truth. I went back to get the hearing aid charger, and I had heard enough. That gift was a trap, and my charger proved I wasn't safe. I kept the charger and drove back. The charger sits on the dashboard as a warning sign. Sundays are our ritual. The kettle, steam rising from the window pane, dishwashing liquid and lemon juice clinging to hands. Maya will call to say she's cleaning up as if the first minute has been rehearsed. Sometimes I hear the kids giggling in the back. Sometimes I just hear Colin panting too close to the phone. It's strange. I tell myself not to overthink it, but two little things keep bothering me. First, Maya stopped saying, "We're okay," and started saying, "We're managing." Second, Colin started mixing words related to money into normal conversation. Fees, interest, paying off debts. I'm telling you this because I've been too quick to ignore these subtle warnings. Noah asked if I was coming to his next hockey game. His voice was initially cheerful, then abruptly cut off mid-sentence. Maya laughed and blamed the weak signal, even though the line was stable. The refrigerator creaked after she finished speaking. I stood by the sink and stared at the soap bubbles. Too long? When they need help, I do what I always do. A few bills. Food for a month. Piano lessons for Lily. No lessons at all. Just a money transfer, and hopefully it will help them get some fresh air. Then, at the end of September, Maya called in a sweet voice that didn't match what we'd been going through this year. She said she'd booked me a week-long vacation at a secluded seaside resort. Everything was taken care of. Fully paid. My first thought was gratitude. My second thought was sharper. Why? I could almost hear Colin counting behind me again, unusually. That Sunday surprise felt too perfect today, like a pre-written script. Sunday haunted my mind all the way home. That Sunday word stayed under my skin. Dark outside. Still dark. I drove back to Barrie before sunrise for my hearing aid charger. The windshield fogged. I let myself in quietly. Then I heard voices in the kitchen. Colin sounded excited in a way that made my skin crawl. He talked about debt vanishing. Maya's voice was calm. She said they only had to make it look natural. An old man alone at a remote lodge, an accident. Nobody would question it. My hands went cold on the hallway wall. They were talking about my insurance and my home. I wanted to step in and make her say it to my face. I did not. I told myself to move, not react. One step. Outside, the morning air bit my cheeks. I sat in my truck with the charger in my palm, shaking. I could not turn the key. If I confronted them, they would deny it and reset the plan. If I went to police with only a sentence I overheard, I might not be believed. So I chose the harder option. I would act normal, and I would get proof. Proof first. I drove home, packed for the trip, and called Maya. I thanked her. I said I loved her. My voice stayed smooth, and it felt like swallowing glass. I am telling you this because survival can look like politeness. When I hung up, I stared at my hands until the shaking slowed. Then I called the one man who would not laugh at me. I needed a plan that kept me alive, not just angry and loud. Miles answered, and his first words changed the weekend ahead. Miles answered, and I heard the chair creak. He didn't laugh. He didn't ask if I was sure. He said, "Tell me everything, starting from the front door." My kitchen smelled faintly of cold coffee and dish soap. My fingers fiddled with the charging cable like a rosary. Miles listened, and when I finished, he spoke carefully. "Just stay calm, just live normally, and just survive." "Hold on." Then he said something that made me nauseous. "You still have to go. If I cancel, they'll know. If they know, they'll change their plans. And next time I might not get a warning. I told myself to keep my voice calm. Miles said he could have someone follow me quietly. A retired investigator traveling as a guest. No eloquent speeches, no grand gestures, just observation. Then he laid down one final rule. No threats, no confrontation. We'll build a clean record. I told him this because panic quickly leads to carelessness. He promised to report to the police as soon as we had concrete evidence. At the dock, the seaplane bobbed on the gray water. Caleb shook my hand once. He leaned in and whispered, "It's a beautiful day to fly." My mouth was dry, but I nodded like a tourist. I carried my bag as if it weighed nothing. Inside, it was rock hard. We walked toward the plane, and the coastline gradually disappeared. The wind was bone-chilling. Water splashed onto my glasses. Caleb's eyes didn't leave the dock. Normal. That was the key point. Up there, I couldn't call anyone. I could only keep moving and maintain a calm expression. Somewhere ahead, a man I'd never met knew my name. That name followed me into the motel tonight. My name was like a pre-printed card. Gord Vance greeted me on the dock with a smile that held no warmth in his eyes. "Graham," he said, as if we were old friends, "Colin has praised you highly." I maintained a calm expression. I kept my hands busy. I told myself to say less than I wanted to. Inside the main house, the smell of burnt coffee filled the air. Gord talked about comfort and schedules, about being taken care of. Then he inquired about my family. It sounded kind, but it felt like an inventory. What I couldn't stop thinking about was the kitchen at Barry. Maya and Colin, who thought I wasn't there. Colin said, "When the compensation comes in, we'll clean it all up." Maya said, $300,000, plus his house and his cabin. Colin said, "We can't wait another month." Maya said, "We just need to clean up." Colin said, "And he trusts us." I'm telling you this because money can make people talk like strangers. At dinner, Gord sat opposite me and stared at my plate of food. He asked if I took heart medication. My fork paused. I smiled faintly, as if harmless. The salty taste of pepper on my tongue, and a chill ran down my spine. Caleb glanced at me once from the corner of the room. Nothing dramatic, just a reminder that I wasn't alone. Then he smiled again. Later, in my cabin, I noticed how far apart it was from the other cabins. There was only the rustling of the wind in the spruce forest and the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. If anything were to happen here, everything would be so quiet. Gord wanted me out at sea, and he wanted it as soon as possible. The word water echoed in my head all night. That word water kept tapping at me all night. In the dark, I could hear waves nibbling at the shore. The cabin smelled of damp wood and insect repellent. Caleb came by once, just a soft knock. He did not ask how I felt. He asked what Gord had said. I told him about the heart medicine question. Caleb's jaw tightened. "Okay," he said low. "We keep this simple." I told myself not to chase certainty. Here is the plan Miles gave us, stripped down to what matters. First, I do nothing alone. Meals in public, walks in daylight. If Gord wants a private outing, I delay, politely. Second, we document what ties this place to Colin. Names, bookings, payments, messages we can point to later. Nothing stolen, nothing staged, just a clean record of what exists. Third, once we have that record, we let authorities take over. Miles would make the calls. Caleb would keep me in sight until pickup. No speeches, no revenge scene. I am telling you this because pride is a trap when you are scared. Around breakfast, Gord drifted over with that friendly voice. He said the water was calm today. He said the bite would be good. He said he could take me himself. The way he said himself made my palms sweat. I smiled and blamed my back, my age, the travel. I offered tomorrow instead. Caleb kept eating, calm as stone, like nothing mattered. But everything mattered. Outside, a horn sounded from the dock, long and lonely. Somebody was moving pieces, and I could feel it. By morning, either we had proof, or the lodge would tighten the net. Morning was coming fast, and I could not stall forever. Morning came fast, and low tide came with it. Still, fog sat on the bay, and the dock ropes squeaked in the damp. Rain beaded on my knuckles. Gord handed me coffee like we were friends. "Feeling ready to fish?" he asked. "Soon," I said. I kept my eyes moving, not my voice. Caleb sat by the window, ordinary, watchful, quiet. That steadied me. I told myself to stay boring. That smile cost me more than money. Gord suggested a private run up the inlet. Just him and me. He said the water would be calm, like a promise. Not yet. I blamed my back and asked for a short walk first. He smiled, then glanced at my cabin lanyard. Small move. Big meaning. Outside, wet cedar clung to my sleeves and salt stung my lips. My cabin sat farther than the rest, tucked behind spruce. Farther. Separate. He kept steering me toward being alone. I am telling you this because isolation can be arranged with a map. Caleb drifted near, like coincidence, and murmured, "If he pushes, you stall." I nodded once. Easy. Down by the dock, Ben hauled gear and kept checking the sky. Gord watched Ben, then watched me. At lunch, the room smelled of onions and wool. Gord set my plate down himself and lingered. "Eat," he said, smiling. My stomach said no. Caleb's spoon paused, then moved again. That was our language. I chewed twice, then stopped. The food tasted like metal. I could feel Gord measuring my patience. Too close now. The bells sounded like the last warning. When the tide drops, the inlet turns quiet, and men make choices. That last warning stayed loud in my ears. That last warning kept ringing in my head. Quiet. The fog thinned, and light flashed on wet boards. Gord found me near the dock like he owned the path. He was trying to pick the place I would disappear. "Let's go," he said. "Just you and me." I told myself to keep my hands loose. Hold steady. Caleb was across the yard, chatting about bait like a tourist. But Gord watched him too. Every friendly word felt like a shove. "I am telling you this because pressure shows up wearing a smile." "Not now." I said, "Maybe tomorrow." He said, "Tomorrow might turn rough." I said, "Then we wait." He said, "You did not come here to wait." "Ma," I said, "I came for quiet." He said, "Then find it on the water." I said, "I'm staying on the dock." He said, "Don't make this difficult." His voice stayed soft. The meaning did not. A gull shrieked overhead, and my jaw clenched. Ben lingered behind Gord, eyes flicking to the boats. The wind smelled like kelp and fuel. Then I saw a clipboard by the office door, my name, and Colin's number beside it, just enough to show coordination. Almost. I walked past it slowly, like I was only stretching my legs. Caleb drifted closer and placed himself where Gord could not corner me. One wrong sentence, and the dock would empty. My tongue went dry. I nodded as if I agreed, then stepped away from him. Inside, the lodge smelled of diesel and fried fish. Gord followed, still smiling, still pushing, and I knew he was testing how alone he could get me. On that clipboard, Colin's name sat beside mine like a receipt today. A radio crackle drifted in, and Caleb looked up. That radio crackle pulled Caleb's eyes to the door. "Wait!" The sound came again, thin and urgent, then stopped. Caleb did not speak, but he moved toward the hallway. Gord noticed. He cornered me near the office, smile fixed, voice low. "Graham," he said, "we should settle tomorrow's plan now." He was betting I would stay polite. I told myself not to step back. "Proof first," I said. "I'm not going anywhere alone." His smile tightened. "That's not how we do things here." The air smelled of bleach and fried fish, and my skin went cold. Proof turns fear into something you can file. I held up the clipboard, not waving it, just letting him see it. My name beside Colin's number. Then Caleb placed a printed page on the counter. A booking note with Colin's email address, plus a payment entry tied to Gord's account. Enough to connect the dots without a speech. I am telling you this because truth works best when it is plain. Gord's eyes flicked once, then he laughed. You think that proves anything? I said. It proves you know him. He leaned closer. You're an old man on a trip, he murmured. Don't ruin it. Outside, a gull cried and the dock bell rang twice. The dock bell meant someone was already coming. Now. Caleb's hand was on my elbow, guiding me toward witnesses. Gord followed, too close. He said, You don't understand how remote this is. I said, I understand enough. Beautiful day for flying. Caleb said it like a joke as he opened the door, and I saw 2 uniforms on the dock. Gord's face changed, not angry, just calculating. The lodge went quiet. Gord's hand closed on my arm, right as footsteps ran down the dock. The seaplane engine grew louder, and Gord smiled. The seaplane engine swallowed my breath as we lifted off. The lodge shrank behind us, blurred by fog and water. I felt hollow. 2 officers sat 3 rows back, calm and unreadable. Gord kept his friendly face until he realized it could not help him. I am telling you this because witnesses change everything, even when you are scared. Back on land, I sat under fluorescent lights and spoke in plain sentences. What I heard in Barry, what I saw at the lodge, how Colin's name kept showing up beside mine. My mouth tasted like burnt coffee, and my hands would not stop shaking. Caleb slid a bottle of water toward me without a speech. That helped more than pity would have. The next weeks came in short bursts. Interview, statement, phone call, meeting. A lawyer explained what I could expect without dressing it up. A detective showed records and asked me to point, not guess. Between those moments, life kept making ordinary noise. The kettle whistled, the radiator clicked. Rain tapped the porch rail like impatient fingers. Elaine's sweater still held a faint trace of her perfume in the closet. Then I saw Maya on the news, walking up courthouse steps, eyes hard. Colin behind her, jaw set like he was still negotiating. People said justice like it was a clean word. For me, it felt like a funeral nobody announced. When it was my turn, I told the story again, steady and slow. I stayed with the facts because my heart kept trying to run. Papers slid across the table. I signed where they told me. Each signature felt like losing my daughter all over again. I did not cry. By the time I finished signing, the kids were already out of reach, so I opened the custody file and kept moving. That custody file became my daily work, not my grand plan. Forms, calls, waiting rooms that smelled like coats and toner. I am telling you this because love can look like paperwork for a while for me. They checked my house in Kingston and asked about routines. They asked if I was healthy enough to manage 2 kids. I answered, and I kept my voice steady even when my hands were not. Hold steady. Weeks turned into months. Then a caseworker called and said the kids could come home. I stood in my kitchen staring at Elaine's mug, and my knees went weak. Noah walked in taller than my memory. Lily stepped behind him with a backpack and eyes that stayed alert. Her hair smelled like shampoo and air. Noah did not hug me. He looked past me, like he was searching for the old world. I told myself not to rush him. That first night we ate soup and toast. A hockey stick leaned by the door, waiting. I heard Noah crying once, then swallowing it back. I made their beds with clean sheets and a nightlight for Lily. They knew their parents were in prison. They did not understand why, not fully. So I gave them truth in small pieces, gentle and honest. A few days later, Noah asked when we could see them. Lily asked if they still loved us. Their questions landed hard, and I had no clean answer ready yet. So I kept the breakfast table steady, one honest sentence. I started with the breakfast table because that was where truth mattered. I told them their parents made dangerous choices, and the court had to step in. I did not pour every detail into one night. I watched their faces and stopped when their eyes went glassy. Then we built a new rhythm: skates on Saturdays, piano practice after supper, summer mornings at the cedar cabin when the bay stayed calm. 2 years later, my arms still ached when the weather shifted, and some nights I woke up sweating. But I was here, and they were here, and that counted. Sometimes family is the steady voice on the phone and the quiet ally who keeps you in sight. Proof first. Here is what I learned. People can smile and still be moving you toward harm. Small inconsistencies matter, especially when money is involved. If your gut tightens, slow down and write down what you remember while it is fresh. And if you can, make sure someone else sees what you see. Practical advice is simple. If you ever feel unsafe, step away and reach out to trusted support right away. Talk to local authorities or a qualified professional who can guide you safely for your situation. You do not have to handle fear alone. If this story helped you, please subscribe for more quiet, truthful stories. Beautiful day for flying. I used to think that line meant freedom, and now it means second chances. I started with the breakfast table because that was where truth mattered. I told them their parents made dangerous choices, and the court had to step in. I did not pour every detail into one night. I watched their faces and stopped when their eyes went glassy. Then we built a new rhythm: skates on Saturdays, piano practice after supper, summer mornings at the cedar cabin when the bay stayed calm. 2 years later, my arms still ached when the weather shifted, and some nights I woke up sweating. But I was here, and they were here, and that counted. Sometimes family is the steady voice on the phone and the quiet ally who keeps you in sight. Proof first. Here is what I learned. People can smile and still be moving you toward harm. Small inconsistencies matter, especially when money is involved. If your gut tightens, slow down and write down what you remember while it is fresh. And if you can, make sure someone else sees what you see. Practical advice is simple. If you ever feel unsafe, step away and reach out to trusted support right away. Talk to local authorities or a qualified professional who can guide you safely for your situation. You do not have to handle fear alone. If this story helped you, please subscribe for more quiet, truthful stories. Beautiful day for flying. I used to think that line meant freedom, and now it means second chances.